Hi, my name is Annette Oko. Now, you don't know me from Sarah, but after this short documentary, I hope you feel more acquainted with who I am and even get inspired to think back on the developmental markers that have made you into the person that you are today. Let's start with my first few years of life. Now, I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to my mother Rose and my father Christopher. They are originally from Nigeria, so my younger brother Christopher Jr. and I are the first generation to grow up in the United States. As a baby, my mother says that I was a smart and inquisitive baby. Thanks, Mom. The way that she describes my temperament was serious and focused, and that I could be soothed from any reason of crying by being put in the baby swing. She said the only reason that I would cry uncontrollably was when my father would come into the room. I guess I was scared of him or something. This explanation best fits the New York Longitudinal Studies effortful control classification of temperaments. I was a very active child, needing many of my gross and fine motor skills early. For example, I started walking at 8 months and was able to pick up objects around the same time. This could be the reason that I have good hand-eye coordination now. I'm always told that I drive really well and have quick reflexes. I started to speak English around 21 months, when my grandmother moved in with our family, making us an extended family. I learned to understand our native Igbo language, though I could not speak the language because my parents did not regularly speak to me in the language, and my grandmother, who did, moved in when I was past my sensitive period of learning a language. In preschool, I was an energetic child who loved to play and explore my house. Often I would escape from my father as he finished giving me a bath and ran around the house naked. As I got into elementary school, I enjoyed the company of the many friends that I was able to make. I was told that I was always the one coming up with fun games for everyone to play and loved to laugh and have fun with friends, but was also very independent. My mother reminded me of one time that I got lost. She told me that after school, the normal routine was to get on a bus that would take my brother and I to a daycare center where my parents would then pick us up later in the evening. One day, my mother went to pick us up from daycare, but only my brother was there. It turned out that I was having so much fun swinging on the swings at school that I didn't notice that I was alone in the play yard and had missed my bus. My mother and father found me in the same spot that I had been in when the last school bell rang, with no fear or even a sense that I was lost. On top of all of that, it was snowing and I was covered with snow. I guess the cold never bothered me anyway. I recognize from this story that my independence was probably aided by perseveration to do things that I like to do, whether the people around me continued alongside with me or not. Growing up, my parents' style of raising us was a mixture of two caregiving styles outlined by Diana Baumrind, a developmental biologist. In some ways, they acted as authoritarian parents in that they would lay down the law of what was good and bad and how they expected us to conduct ourselves at home and among strangers. We were given corporal punishment if we continued to transgress statutes that we had been repeatedly warned about. They also showed authoritative characteristics in the flexibility to talk with us and get our feedback on ways that they could improve things around the house. My mother especially showed this characteristic. As I grew into adolescence, my personality began to change. I became more introverted, especially towards my parents. I strongly desired my independence and could not wait to start driving. A very important aspect of my early childhood had been that I began to have faith in Jesus Christ and had started to be changed by his words in the Bible. As I got into adolescence, I rebelled not only from my parents' authoritarian style of parenting, but also from the truths that I had believed in regards to what is right and wrong outlined to me in the Bible. I wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted without having to answer for my wrong actions. Though I knew that both my parents and Jesus were right and good, I just wanted to see what life was like outside of my comfort zone. As I started to seek to understand who I was and how I fit in the world, I encountered role confusion and was vehemently opposed to the notion of foreclosure, which is a premature identity formation that does not ask questions or deviate from values and roles expected in a society or from parents. I got into my first real relationship after high school and was working a full-time job. I dealt with depression and a purging eating disorder during my early adolescent years. Luckily, my mother saw that I was using laxative pills to purge the food that I was eating and intervened by doing extensive research on the effects of my actions and giving it to me along with a reassuring letter of her love towards me and how she thought I was a beautiful young woman. Once again, thanks, Mom. My mother was very sad and disappointed that I had deviated from the path that she and my father had tried so hard to raise me in. But my egocentric reality did not allow me to consider her disappointment. Instead, I rebelled further, thinking that she was only trying to hinder my growth. I dropped out of college in the beginning of my second semester as a freshman and moved to Atlanta with my boyfriend at the time. After 6 months of cohabitation with my ex-boyfriend in Atlanta, I finally came to my senses and realized the situational couple violence that my boyfriend and I were engaging in was not healthy for either of us and that I had to get away from the situation. At this point, I gave my life back to Jesus Christ and started walking with him in faith as a disciple of his teachings from the Bible. My life radically changed for the better. I moved to Maryland and started college over again. Now, as an emerging adult, I am much more organized and focused on achieving long-term and short-term goals that I have set for myself. Evidence of a developed prefrontal cortex. Today, I am excited about what the future holds and I'm very optimistic. I am confident in who I am, a daughter of God, a daughter of my parents, and a caring friend to my peers and acquaintances. Well, that's my developmental story in a nutshell. I hope you feel more acquainted with me now and have a sense of venture to go back to your parents and family friends to ask them what they remember about you growing up. Thanks.
Yeah, under the sun I found we were left to drown. Evil abounds, weight is pulling us down. No sight or sound, impaired to his care. Chasing after the wind, running after the air. Deserving of desertion, servants of destruction. And every day